it was my curiosity that opened up the doors for me to endure the pain that I had for the last 20 years. So, just the anger and disappointment with myself is the main things that I do.
I remember maybe a couple weeks ago when I got back into town, I met up with you at the park, at Hermosa Park.
Right.
And we was talking about your son, Caleb. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So with your son Caleb, and you was telling me about a time at school he was getting into trouble, and you had to come in for like, I guess, like a parent-teacher conference.
Right.
And you met up with his professor or his teacher.
Right.
And when he started trying to act out in front of the teacher,
right.
And you was telling me about how he, you know, he started stressing, his hands real tight, and he started looking at you like he wanted to fight you.
Right.
Do you think some of that is related to his encounters, from feeling that he may feel that he's been neglected from his father? He may feel that there's not a full connection there.
I'm quite sure that there is some connection with that. However, he is very unique. He acts out and shows things differently than anybody. But I do believe a large percentage of that has affected him, my lifestyle, and the things that I've done to my family. So I do believe that there's a very strong connection with that. Some animosity, and unresolved feelings, because I, did a lot of yelling and things like that, at my children, being under influence and, having a frame of mind which I had at the time. So yes, I can attest that, some of that is related with that, most definitely.
So, Brother David, how long have you been clean off of crack cocaine?
Well, this time around, going on 7 months now, 6 months now.
6 months.
I've had a few relapses, and as they call it in recovery world, you give back that time when you relapse. So this time around, I'm just coming up on 6 months. 6 months.
Okay. What happened? Or what do you think is the reason why you relapsed this go around?
But to be honest with myself, and to be honest with those that are viewing me, there is no other reason. To blame a reason or to give a reason would be me not accepting full responsibility for me and my own actions. We have to, especially being taught as FOI, that we must stand and be men, because I have failed in that in many ways, but I refuse to do that today. My last relapse was due solely upon me not dealing with issues that were coming up, me not taking care of my mental state of mind, me not opening up and talking and sharing with my wife, with other brothers that I had relationships with, me not submitting to the will of Almighty God, in constant prayer, in constant communication with Him, and seeking His guidance. I wasn't doing that in the way that I should have been. I masked a lot of my pain that I was going through at the time with hard work. I was striving to build a catering business and was just consuming myself with that. But I was hiding who I really was and what I was really feeling. So I attest my last relapse solely to me not taking care of myself, not submitting to the will of Allah, most of all, first and foremost, because without Allah's grace and mercy, I cannot be anything. I cannot achieve anything. The day that I stopped doing that was the day that I began to become weak spiritually. I began to become weak mentally. I began to allow things to get to me when they shouldn't have. So I attest only just to myself that it was my fault. It was my inadequacy. It was my neglect. It was my not standing being a man. But most of all, it was me not submitting to Allah. Became the person master for Allah.
I remember close to the time period before you got out of your program. Brother Jesse Muhammad, staff writer, Final Call newspaper,
Yes.
and myself were speakers during that program.
Yes, sir.
And I remember after one of the programs or one of our sessions with you, you came up to us, gave us a big hug, and we started dialoguing. And you informed us that you've been writing again. And you was telling us about this time that you was writing. And I want you to go in depth, but I want to kind of bring it up to see if, maybe you remember what it was. You was talking about you was writing, and you was telling us about a story about how you came to the door. And it was two men there, but all you couldn't see their faces. It was just like, you could see like shadows. And you started talking about that. You remember what I'm saying? You want to elaborate on that for us?
Actually, brother, the two men were you and Brother Jesse. This was during a time when actually my last relapse was very, very strenuous on my family. It's only by Allah's grace and mercy, and I thank Him so much every day that I still have my beautiful wife by my side, which I really don't deserve. But obviously He sees fit and knows more than I do. And she is still, and we are still married, and we are still together. However, my relapse, I didn't share with a lot of people, but Brother Jesse, yes, Final Call writer, motivational speaker, just genuine brother, along with you, Brother Hannibal, got wind of it. And with no hesitation, from what I hear, you two brothers sought out your brother. But I remember that. But what I brought up at the time was the fact that Allah has His hand in everything. And what He exalts, no one can abase. And what He abases, no one can exalt. And to see His hand in me and my wife's marriage through two brothers that have a connection through their mothers that was involved with me and my wife's life, and me and my wife's life during our separation, was something that was very, very, very profound to me, because we had moved to Phoenix from Houston, and I relapsed in Phoenix again, but ended up going back to Houston for treatment, where Brother Jesse's mother, recovering herself, was a counselor at a facility in which I inquired about coming. And that kept me under the hand of one of the brothers that came to my door. However, in Phoenix, my wife became aware that Brother Hannibal's mother, which is your mother, was a counselor, yet as well as a family counselor, drug counselor, was seeing my wife. So we were both connected still through two brothers and their mother, two separate cities, dealing with the same thing and the same issues. And only by Allah's grace and seeing that in that, did that make me want to fight and realize that He's giving me another chance, another opportunity to get my things together, to change my lifestyle, and to see that I have a duty to get out here and to save not only myself and my family, but to save